WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes after 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. What am I saying? Robin, have you ever had your brain picked? Have you ever had your brain picked?
I think so.
Yeah?
Sometimes.
Does it hurt? Does it hurt when you have your...
does.
Yeah. Because I'm going to pick David Laffey's brain. I am so interested in this topic right now. I hope his brain doesn't hurt when we're done. Oh, let me put the picture on there so you can see David. And David is here with Pamela Stafford. By the way, Pamela, you sent us a wonderful guest last week for the car show that's happening on the 25th.
Thank you for doing that.
That was really awesome.
We're excited about that.
So David Laffey is another guest you've brought to us. You're becoming like a publicist, bringing us guests, right?
Do I get paid?
No.
Oh, okay.
David is the president of the Fort King Heritage Association, and he's talking to us about all the amazing things that are happening over there. I've known Fort King as a name of a street. Period. That's it. That's all I've ever known about it. And I don't even know. I mean, in recent years I have, but when I was a younger guy, I actually, even though I'm from New York, I came here when I was 17. So I actually learned to drive at the old Fort King High School. So I never even thought, is Fort King a fort? Is there a fort someplace? And there is a fort. So you're going to help us understand about that, right?
Right.
Good morning, David.
Good morning.
Fort King. First of all, how many acres are on the property of Fort King?
We currently have 41 acres.
41 acres. And how big was the actual fort?
The actual fort was 152 feet by 162 feet.
And was it made out of wood?
Yes, it was made out of pine trees.
Okay, so the trees you would see around here today.
Yes, and they were 18 foot long, the logs that they used, and they would split the pine tree in half. And then they would turn the flat side to the inside of the fort and the round side faced out. Then they debarked the logs, set them 2 feet into the ground. So the palisades were actually 16 feet tall above the ground, and they were not sharpened like most people think. Your typical forts are portrayed as pickets.
Right.
These were all cut flat.
Are you rebuilding it? Is there going to be a replica of the fort?
Yes, we're rebuilding a replica of it, and hopefully we'll be breaking ground next month in March.
I'm so excited about this. I really am. I've got so many questions. Okay, so here's one question that I've read about it. It's not like I haven't pursued my curiosity. But I don't see a definite answer as to why it was there. There's no water there? Am I wrong about that? Or was there water there?
There is a spring on the property.
Okay, but so they were protecting the spring? Like the fort in St. Augustine, for example. It's right on the coast. You can see, okay, that's going to protect us from something. I don't know what. Mm-hmm. That one either. But what did this one protect?
This fort was built there to protect the Seminole Indians. There was a Treaty of Moultrie Creek, which is just south of the St. Augustine fort. And that treaty, there were immigrants coming down from Georgia and South Carolina to find new agricultural land. That's what they were coming for. Well, the Seminoles were already here. So these settlers were just coming in and encroaching on their property and taking their property away. The Seminole tribe complained to the federal government. So the federal government called a Treaty of Moultrie Creek and set aside 4 million acres in central Florida as a reservation for the Seminoles. And in order to secure the peace and make sure there was no more encroachment, the federal government built Fort King.
For the Seminoles, not to keep us from the Seminoles.
No, the fort was originally built to protect the Seminole tribe from encroachment from other settlers taking their land.
And what year would this have been?
That was in 1827 was when the first fort was built. There were actually 2 forts on this property that we have. The first fort was burned to the ground in 1836. And then the second fort was rebuilt in 1837. That's the fort that we're going to build the dupe.
And what was here at the time? Was Ocala just the woods? Was it just
There
wood?
was no Ocala.
Nothing at all?
And the interesting part is, at the end of the Second Seminole War, when it was over, the U.S. Army gave this fort to the settlers that had built their homes around it for protection, and the next year declared Marion County a county, and Fort King is the county seat.
The county seat was Fort King.
County seat was Fort King.
Okay,
There was no Ocala at that time.
So there were residences around the fort, or no?
Yes.
Yeah, there were. Okay.
Yes.
So did they see any battle? Did the fort see any fighting at all?
Yes. In fact, the last year of fighting was 1840. And that was a squadron of soldiers went out on horseback and got attacked by Indians. There were 16 that went out in this scouting party, and when they got attacked by the Seminoles, and 3 were killed. And another interesting thing a lot of people don't know, right before you get to our driveway on East Fort King Street, on the left is a big rock monument that has been there for years.
Yes, I do know that.
A lot of people don't know what that is. That is 1 acre of land that was the Fort King Cemetery. And that is
wow.
owned by the DAR.
And
So are there still bodies there?
No.
No. And what is
After the war ended, the
Yeah.
Second Seminole War, they disinterred all the bodies of the soldiers and moved them, and they're buried under the Coquina Pyramids in St. Augustine. At that time, that was the National Cemetery
Really?
in Florida.
can I back up to DAR? What does that stand for?
Daughters of the American Revolution.
Oh, okay.
And they have a permanent position on our board of directors. Gloria Seddon is their representative on our board. And what they did, they entered into an agreement with the city of Ocala to include this 1 acre as part of our park, because the park wouldn't be complete if we didn't have that cemetery there.
So I'm still not being able to visualize the roads. There must have been a road. I mean, why would it be there? What was there a road at that time?
It was a major crossroads of Indian trails, and there was a road from Fort Brooke in Tampa up to Fort Micanopy.
And we
It was
were,
called the Fort King Road.
So was Fort Micanopy was in Micanopy?
Yes.
What is now Micanopy, I mean?
Yes.
Okay.
when we visited the Dade battlefield, that road was labeled there too. It said the road to Fort King.
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
That reenactment, that battle at Dade Battlefield happened on December 28th, 1835. And there were 108 soldiers were being sent from Fort Brooke in Tampa up to Fort King to reinforce Fort King because they had a sense trouble was getting ready to break out. But those 108 soldiers never made it. When they got to Bushnell, what is now Bushnell, or the Dade Battlefield, that's when the attack took place. And 105 of the 108 soldiers were killed. Of the 3 that survived that battle, only 2 survived long enough to make it all the way back to Fort Brooke to report what happened. That same afternoon on December 28th of 1835, Osceola attacked Fort King. He and a band of his men shot and killed the Indian agent Wiley Thompson when he came out of the fort for his afternoon walk,
Why? Why did he shoot him?
because he had arrested Osceola and put him in chains.
Oh, okay.
Those 2 events, the Dade Massacre and the killing of Wiley Thompson, were the sparks that started the Second Seminole War. And by the way, the 3 Seminole Wars that took place in Florida were the longest Indian wars in U.S. history.
Oh my.
Okay, how come Ocala's downtown area is so far from Fort King if that was the beginning of the town?
That's what we're trying to find out. 2 years after the Army gave Fort King to the settlers, and then it was designated the county seat, for some reason the settlers dismantled the entire fort and moved the lumber into what is now downtown Ocala and rebuilt their homes. Some people surmised that the spring dried up or something happened to the spring so that it didn't flow.
Is it still there now?
Yeah, the spring is still there, but the flow is so reduced you wouldn't have ever built a fort there, probably.
Just reminded me of something. Okay, now we actually have a little bit of history with what I'm going to tell you. WTMC used to be on Magnolia, right? And the back of it had an opening that's now covered with concrete.
Yes.
And there was a little river there, a little creek.
Trickle.
Robin used to play with my son back there, and my son was maybe 4 or 5 years old,
4.
with his little action figures in that little river. We had a guy on, Mr. DeBarry.
Yes.
Do you happen to know Mr. DeBarry? I think
Earl.
Yes.
Earl
Earl
DeBarry.
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 And we had him as a guest years ago, and I was talking to him about that. Is it possible that that's why they moved there, because of that river? It wasn't much of a river, but...
Yeah, it's a spring actually behind the old WTMC building. That's the head of a spring.
So you know of it. Does that have a name?
Not that I know of, but it used to flow over to what was called, I'm not sure. It was called the pond, and then the street that went by the pond, believe it or not, on old maps was called Pond Street. And that spring behind TMC flowed over there.
Were all of the settlers that were living around the fort in their homes, were they allowed to leave before the Indians attacked the fort itself to kill the soldiers, or did they kill them also?
No, if you look at, we have an actual sketch of Fort King that was done by a Lieutenant John Sprague. He was commissioned by the Army to sketch all the forts during the Seminole War in Florida. The center building, this fort had 5 buildings within the Palisades walls. The center building had a watchtower and a cupola. And believe it or not, they rang a cowbell when trouble was starting, and the settlers would hear the cowbell and they'd pack up and run in the gates of the fort for protection.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And we're going to have a cowbell in the reproduction.
You need more cowbell. You
Right.
always need more cowbell.
We do need a period. We do need a period cowbell from the 1850s.
If anyone has one they'd like to donate,
Right.
we'll...
Is it different than the cowbell we could buy at like the Guitar Center? Is it different than that one?
No, it's just older, and we'd like to be.
Just older.
We'd like to be authentic.
David Laffey is here. I'm loving this so much. I want to tell you something off the air that Rob and I are doing. I want to share this video on the new site that we created. David Laffey is here. He's the president of the Fort King Heritage Association. Next month, they're going to start to rebuild the fort itself, which is going to be very cool. Pamela Stafford, my gosh, you bring us some great guests. You are a trustee with the Fort King Heritage Association, it says here. And there's Bob Halleck. He's also, I think he goes back to Fort King, doesn't he?
I think so.
I think so. All right, we will take a little break and be right back with David and Pamela. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accidents. On this Monday, morning fog followed by some sunshine with a brief shower or two. The high 72 at the coast, 77 inland. Monday night will be mostly cloudy with areas of fog late, lows ranging from the low 50s well inland to the low 60s right along the coast. Tuesday, some fog to start, otherwise times of sun and clouds with a chance of a shower and a high of 76 to 80. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
You're going to love your new windows and the immediate energy savings when you work with Renewal by Anderson. You'll experience legendary quality and installation. Visit renewalbyanderson.com for a free in-home consultation with the pros. Right now, save 20% on windows, doors, and installation. No money down, 0% interest, and 0 payments for 12 months with approved credit. Visit renewalbyanderson.com. renewalbyanderson.com. Offer ends February 28th. License CGC 1524135.
On top of the world, Ocala's premier active adult community has done it again, and this time it's bigger and better than ever before. 10 new, never-before-seen decorated models will make their debut on Saturday, February 25th at 10 a.m. 5 exciting new plans from our maintenance-free Premier Series, and 5 big new designs from our Estate Series in one convenient model center. Mark your calendars for the can't-miss model grand opening event. On Top of the World has all the lifestyle amenities you want right here. Enjoy over 300,000 square feet of air-conditioned recreational fun, plus over 181 acres of outdoor amenities. Join us on Saturday, February 25th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and tour our 10 new decorated models. On Top of the World is located on State Road 200 west of I-75 in Ocala, or visit online at ontopoftheworld.com. That's ontopoftheworld.com.
Equal housing opportunity. Come to the 4th Annual Habitat Strawberry Festival on March 4th, 2017 at the McPherson Government Complex. The festival's goal is not only to have vendors, food, a car show, a kids zone, live entertainment featuring One Flight Up, a lip sync competition, police versus fire department pie eating contest, and all things strawberry. But to also raise funds to build a habitat home for a family in our community. Check out the website, habitatocala.org, and follow the link. The Habitat for Humanity Strawberry Festival is March 4th with breakfast served at 7:30. Free parking, free admission.
Stay informed on everything going on in the villages with the Village Spectator newspaper. The Village Spectator is exclusively devoted to the villages with news, commentary, and more. And yes, they have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 804-1223 and pick up your copy of the Village Spectator today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
All right, 10 minutes before 11 o'clock, Pamela Stafford is here. She's a trustee with the Fort King Heritage Association, and David Laffey is the president of the Fort King Heritage Association. We're learning so much from David and Pamela about this. And how many of you know Fort King just as the street? That was my story. Didn't know much about the fort, and now we're learning a little bit more. One of the things, and Pamela, you mentioned it off the air, so thank you for doing that. One of the things that we now realize is that when I say we, I mean the Europeans who were settling here, we weren't, as a nation, we weren't the kindest people to the indigenous people that lived here. I mean, we chased them off of their land. The statue of Osceola in Silver Springs, right on the plaque underneath it, says it very clearly. This was their land, and we kicked them off and sent them out hiking to Oklahoma and where, to the Everglades? Was that the other place we sent them to? And so, and you made a good point that they weren't bad people. They were having everything. Genocide was being committed upon them. So that's important to say, isn't it? Correct anything I said that's wrong, though, if I've made a mistake.
No, right. The Seminoles did nothing wrong. What happened was, remember I said in 1827 they designated a reservation at the Treaty of Moultrie Creek. In 1832, Andrew Jackson was now president, and Andrew Jackson did not care for Native Americans at all. And he convinced Congress to pass the Indian Removal Act, which would move all Native Americans west of the Mississippi River. The Cherokees,
right.
all Indians.
Because we thought we'd never need that, right? We're never going to go that far as a nation, yeah.
So they came back to Florida and called all the Seminole chiefs together at the Treaty of Payne's Landing and said, well, we're going to break the Treaty of Moultrie Creek, where we guaranteed you peace on your reservation. Now you have to move west of the Mississippi. And if you don't move, we will forcefully move you. So what happened, some of the Seminoles did move out west because they didn't want a war. And that became the Seminole Nation. Other Seminoles, under the leadership of a war chief, Osceola, he wasn't a true tribal chief, he was a war chief, they stayed and fought. And after the Third Seminole War, they finally escaped into the Everglades, and that became the Seminole Tribe of Florida. So you have the Seminole Tribe of Florida here and the Seminole Nation out west. And the Seminole Nation we are in contact with. And by the way, the Seminole Tribe of Florida also holds a trusteeship on our board.
Is the Seminole name a misnomer also? Is that something that we gave them, or is that what they called themselves? I guess that
is a very good question. It's an excellent question. In different history books, you'll see that there are several definitions for the word Seminole. Some historians say it means the new tribe because there were no Seminoles way back when all the other tribes were here. The Seminoles in Florida were made up of the remnants of a lot of tribes that were here, the Creek Indians, the Colusa Indians, and other Indian tribes. And then when black runaway slaves ran to Florida, the Seminoles would welcome them into their tribe. So there were many black Seminoles, many black Seminoles that were very great fighters.
They were freer? Were the black slaves freer with the Seminoles than they would have been? Oh, wow.
In fact, when the Seminole Wars started breaking out, they armed these runaway slaves, and that really scared the white settlers. because they had
I don't
him
think
as
I've ever
slaves.
heard that before.
Yes,
But that wasn't just us here, right? Was that the whole country was that way as far as the indigenous people, the Indians and the black slaves? Were they all running to the? No.
No,
Oh, we don't.
I only know about the Florida Indians.
Okay.
And when the National Park Service folks came down and at the behest of Congress and did the special resource study of the property to determine if it qualified for a National Historic Landmark designation, they included the Black Seminoles' history in that study. And that was the first time a lot of people even realized that they were part of a very, very important part of the history.
What I'm hoping is that everything you've been working on, and Pamela, you said you've been working on this for how many years?
Since 1998.
Wow. And so you have a vision for this, and this vision is going to help all of us better understand our own history.
Well, and let me also say that I've been working on it, and Henry Sheldon has been along the way, coming and going also. But what has made this project get to where it is today is a lot of people coming and going and bringing their expertise and their interest, their passion, everything. But like anything else, this has been going on, like I said, since 1998. And, some people have been involved for 10 years, 15 years. It's like, well, nothing's ever going to happen. But our current board of directors, of which, as you said, David is leading, is a great board. And things are happening. The city is extremely supportive. The state is very supportive. This is going to occur. And one of the things that we are doing to try to raise funds, because we are a board of directors that has been given the mission of bringing this fort to fruition, but no one is writing us a check. So part of our mission is to go out and raise the money and find resources to do this.
Oh, this is beautiful.
So David brought a log today that he'll share with you about our fundraising.
Oh, sure. Can you just
Yes, I will.
Just hold that in front of the camera there. Show that.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it looks beautiful. Okay, so now that log that Robin's showing on the camera. Okay, thank you. Now I can't see David's face. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. so this we is that a 251? Oh, they're all different level. Oh, you're going to make them out of gold? Actual gold?
No.
How does this work?
If someone gave us enough money, we could.
So $1,000 is the gold log, $500 is the silver log, and $250 is the bronze log. Explain what that means.
Well, most organizations sell bricks, and you get your name engraved in a brick for everybody to walk on the rest of that brick's life. We decided we would sell logs. So we had these logs made up, and we have a silver, bronze, and a gold log, $250, $500, and $1,000. Anyone that buys a log, they get one of these as a memento to keep on their desk or in their home.
Yeah.
And their name will be permanently engraved on a plaque inside the visitor center.
Oh,
it won't be on a log in the fort.
I see.
Oh, okay.
Because we're building an authentic
So
fort.
can we put like a business? Could it be like WOCA, or does it have to say Larry?
No, it can be. No, many businesses have helped us out, and it can be in memorial to someone or.
Oh, nice.
A pet.
Whatever name.
Whatever name you want on it.
Oh, nice.
And I'm happy to say we just hit 160 logs.
Oh, wow.
All right.
We would like to sell about another 150.
I've been picking your brain, and I could pick it longer, and I'm sure other people could too. But we've got like 1 minute left. So if you have questions about the history of Fort King, go check out the National Historic Landmark. It's not open yet, or am I wrong about that?
No, it's open 7 days a week.
Oh, it is open. So
It's a city park.
So you can go right now and get information.
Yes.
Just that the fort itself is not rebuilt yet.
Right.
Okay, all
My
right.
mother's been there. She loves it.
Okay,
And
so
we have a website,
yeah, that's what I want to know.
fkha.org.
fkha.org. Heritage Association, that's the HA, okay. And you want to give a phone number or just use that?
Sure. No, it's 368-5533.
Okay. Pamela, thank you so much for bringing us David and for great guests. Keep it up.
Thank you.
I love this. And thank you for what you're doing. I think you're helping us all understand our history a lot better. David Laffey, you're amazing. Thank you for contributing to our understanding of our own town. And if we ever figure out why we moved all the way down there, wherever, which direction I want to point it that way, thank you.
East of the fort, west of the fort.
We're up against the clock. So this is WOCA Ocala. Thank you both. We'll be right
Thank
back.
you.
Hazardous as crews try to repair a hole in a spillway at the Oroville Dam that's forced evacuation of nearly 200,000 people.
I panicked as I started putting things in my car, basically my violin, a didgeridoo, some family photos.
The dam